It's true. We've all heard the term control freak, and usually it's kind of used in jest. But this morning, we're going to take a look at how it applies to domestic violence. It's a critical part of the pattern of abuse and one that's the least talked about. Well, today, we're going to do just that. Please take a moment and watch. The United States Justice Department defines domestic violence as a pattern of abusive behavior that's used to gain or maintain power and control over another. Abuse happens to people of all races, ages, genders, and religions, regardless of socioeconomic or educational backgrounds. Chief Hadley of the Chatham County Police Department also points out it's not limited to intimate partners.
And domestic violence can also be, an elderly mother and a young son. It could be sibling to sibling. It can be anybody that lives or has lived in the same domicile.
To better illustrate how violence works, the United Nations created this power and control wheel, showing a pattern of behaviors that aren't always identified as abuse, but firmly establish a pattern of intimidation and control. We're going to walk through some of those right now. Advocate Karen Alston says when it comes to child or elder abuse, neglect is a cruel behavior that can harm the most vulnerable and helpless among us. Withholding food, medicine, or health care can endanger a person's life. She encourages friends and neighbors to check on senior citizens and believe what they tell you.
And when they say that something is not right, don't always think it's dementia or something's going on in their mind. If they're saying that somebody is beating them, not changing them, not feeding them, red flag.
Another subtle form of control is financial abuse. This is when the perpetrator hyper-manages household money to the point of limiting the victim's freedom.
This is used to keep them from having outside relationships, even something as simple as a friend asking them for coffee. They know they can't do that without asking permission and asking for money. It's a source of embarrassment, and so oftentimes they turn down those invitations, and so it starts to isolate the abused person in that relationship.
David Purvis of the Manaley firm says isolation is another layer of control, restricting a victim's opportunity for employment and circles of support.
But they are not involved with family, church, friends in the community. Even extended family relationships suffer, and they become very isolated. And typically, if there's financial abuse, there's additional abuse going on. There's gaslighting, there's emotional abuse, there may be physical abuse. But just because there's not physical abuse doesn't mean there aren't other forms of abuse going on inside that home.
Other ways to intimidate a victim is to threaten their parental rights, employment, or immigration status. Perpetrators will often minimize their behavior or blame shift as a way to gaslight the victim into a perpetual state of denial. That allows the abuse to continue. Well, victims need to know when they're ready, there are resources and services standing by to help you take back control of your life.
So I would encourage anyone to get connected with Safe Shelter, get connected with the services that are there for them, because they're going to be extremely helpful in that process.
And we do have some of those resources here for you or someone that you may care about if they're in a dangerous situation. If it's an emergency, call 911, full stop. For a safe escape plan, you can contact Safe Shelter in Savannah, Safe Haven in Statesboro or Walterboro, and Hopeful Horizons, which serves counties across the Lowcountry. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 800-799-7233. And remember, abuse is never the fault of the victim, and help is available. Resources are always on our website, wsav.com/domestic violence.